Hello friends, welcome back. Today we're going to start the API and microservices certification. And the first section is called Managing Packages with NPM. So I'm going to start off with the introduction to managing packages with NPM challenges. The Node Package Manager, which is NPM, is a command line tool used by developers to share and control modules or packages of JavaScript code written for use with Node.js. So that means it's just like a bunch of collections of JavaScript bits. And so a module is just like a big JavaScript file that has a bunch of built-in functions for it, so you don't have to start from scratch all the time. When starting a new project, NPM generates a package.json file. This file lists the package dependencies for your project. Since NPM packages are regularly updated, the package.json file allows you to set specific version numbers for each dependency. This ensures that updates to a package don't break your project. NPM saves packages in a folder called node_modules. These packages can be installed in two ways. One, you can do it globally in a root node module folders accessible by all projects, or you can do it locally with a project's own node modules folder accessible only to that project. Most developers prefer to install packages local to each project to create a separation between the dependencies of different projects. Working on these that means, like, so if you were working on 3 projects on your computer, it's better to have separate node module folders for each of those projects, because maybe they have different dependencies depending on the needs for the different applications you're working on. Whereas if you install node modules globally, you'll have access to all your projects will need to have the exact same dependencies, or they probably need to have the same dependencies to work. Working on these challenges will involve you writing your code on Glitch on our starter project. After completing each challenge, you can copy your public Glitch URL to the homepage of your app into the challenge screen to test it. Optionally, you may choose to write your project on another platform, but it must be publicly visible for our testing. So we want to start the project on Glitch using this link, or clone this repository on GitHub. If you use Glitch, remember to save the link to your project somewhere safe. Okay, well, I'm going to be doing this on GitHub, so we're going to be cloning this repository. So yeah, let's go to the first lesson. The package.json file is the center of any Node project or NPM project. It stores information about your project, similar to how the head section of an HTML document describes the content of a web page. It consists of a single JSON object where information is stored in key value pairs. There are only 2 required fields, name and version. But it's good to practice to provide additional information about your project that could be useful to future users or maintainers. If you look at the file tree of your project, you will find that package.json file on the top left of the tree. This is the file you will begin improving in the next couple of challenges. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to want to do is clone this guy. So I'm going to open up my terminal app by pressing Command Spacebar and just type in term, and then it basically pops up. You can also find the terminal by going to, I'm not sure, Command Spacebar terminal. That's the best way to get it. Now we're going to use ls. That means that tells us where we are. Pwd tells us where we are. You can see we can go to the desktop from here. So we go change directories desktop, and then there's only 3 folders on my desktop right now. These 3. So what I want to do now is clone this repository. So I'm going to say git clone, and then we're going to get, this is the URL that we want to clone. So GitHub free code camp boilerplate or whatever. So you can click here, or you can click here, Command A and Command C, paste this into here. And then once we do that, we should see the boilerplate NPM project. So we've cloned this package module here, and so now we have it on our local machine. So here we can say, is the center of any Node project, add your name as author of the okay, so yeah, so if we list out now, we see on the boilerplate, we can change directories onto the boilerplate. If I list out what's in here, you see we have a README, a package.json, public, server.js, and views. So I'm going to use Atom because that's my text editor. And then I just put the period sign. So that's going to open up my text editor. And here we have all the different ones. So we've got our package, we've got our README, and we've got our server. And so what we want to do is go into the package.json, and it says, yeah, but a simple string like one of the most common pieces of information is in this file is the author file. It specifies who created the project and can consist of a string or an object with a contact or other details. An object is recommended for bigger projects, but a simple string like the following example will do for this project. So yeah, here we've got name, dependencies. So we'll see here in the package.json file, JSON is the JavaScript object notation. So this is just an object in JavaScript. And we've got a key value pair of name, and then dependencies has an object with express in it, main server.js scraps, and we've just got a bunch of key value pairs. And so what they're saying here is we want to just add to it. So I'm going to say author, and then here we're going to say useful programmer. And then we need a comma here because objects are delineated by commas like that. And so if I save this, we should be good to go. Now what I need to do is actually publish this and get it set up on my own one. So I'm going to go back to GitHub, and I'm going to say a new project, new repository. And we're going to call this one managing packages with NPM. So managing packages with NPM. Managing packages with NPM the free code camp way. Cool. And so I'm going to create this repository. And what we want to do is push an existing repository from the command line. So you can see git status. Currently, yeah, so let's say git remote -v. This says, where is our remote? Well, our remote is this boilerplate project, so we want to change that. So we want to say git remote add origin, and we're going to add it to a different version. Remote already exists. Git remote change, maybe? Changing a git remote set URL. The git remote set URL. Git remote set URL. And then we'll type this in here. Oops. So I'm pressing Alt and back so I can go back because we want to say git remote set URL. And I had copied the whole thing. Usage and set URL. Switching remote URLs. Okay. Okay, I think I need to say origin here. Okay, git remote -v. Cool. And so now our remote is set to this guy. You'll see git remote set URL, origin, and then the URL. And now we can say git status, and I can say git add. So so that just means if I go git status again, you can see it's green. And so now I need to commit this. So I've staged the change that I made to package.json. And so now I want to say, and now that I've added it, I can commit it. So now we're staged git commit -m add author to package.json. And the commit message can be anything that you want. It doesn't even actually have to be anything, but I like to make it specific. And then now that we've got that change, we say git push. And I think that will push it up to here. Nice. Git remote -v. Okay, and so we'll go back over here. If we refresh here, we'll see that backend challenges boilerplate package.json. And if we go package.json, we see that the author has a useful programmer in there. Okay, so what we need to do now, what we're doing is we're building a web application. A web application has a server and it has the front end. The server needs to be deployed on a computer. You can serve your applications locally. Like if we check out here, we have a start in our package.json. And so because we're still in our in the boilerplate npm here, we can just actually run our script here. So if we run node server right now, we're going to get this error. Okay, cannot find module express. Okay, dependencies express. So what we need to do now is we need to add that. So what we're going to do is say npm, so node package manager, and we're going to say install, because it says you don't have it here, but it is here. So we need to install it. So we're just going to install all the things that are written as a dependencies here. Okay, and so now we're going to try to start it again. Node just runs the thing. I want to say that in another way. Let's see. Let's say I touch, I have a file and I'll just call it up.js, right? And if I open up.js, and I can say console.log useful programmer. Now, all I'm doing here is just showing how Node works. Now, say I wanted to run this program. What I can do is I can say node up.js, and then you'll see that it prints out useful programmer. So what I want to do now is I want to run the server on my local machine. So I'm going to say node, but instead of doing up.js, I'm going to run the server.js, which is this guy. And this is the code that we have that we cloned from Free Code Camp. So if I say node server.js, then it says Node.js is listening. And if we scroll down here, we can see Node.js is listening here. I think that we need to, well, we don't have a port defined, so it might be localhost 3000 or 5000. Okay, so what we need to do is say, instead of the port, I'm going to come back over here and press Control C to cancel the node server. And then instead of the process.env.port, I'm going to say or 3000. And so that means that we'll be running it, running our application on port 3000. So because there is no env variable here, but I don't actually want to change that. So now if we refresh if we come back over here and we run 3000, cool. We're running our server. So our server, our computer is actually serving to our, just these, just to our local port. So manage Node.js projects and npm packages using JSON. So this is part one. Okay, so now we have it running locally, but we don't need to have it running locally because we can't submit the local URL to the project here. This is just not going to work. Oh, well, it worked for me locally right now, but wow, that's really weird that local port works for this. But anyways, I still want to show you how to, the whole idea behind this project is that you're learning how to build a Node application, in my opinion. So it's not just that we want to be able to add, a name to your package.json file. We actually want to deploy this thing to Heroku, or we want to be able to deploy this to a service that you can use to actually build web apps for that people use. So we have this thing called Heroku. So if you don't currently have a Heroku account, Heroku is just So if you don't have a Heroku account, you're going to want to sign up for one. You can sign up for free, and all your web hosting especially is for free when you're setting it up. You can build whole web applications and have them hosted on Heroku for free, and then as you're ready to support and ready to have more people go to them, then you can start paying them a little bit, and then you can have a functioning web application. So I'm already signed in, and so what we want to do now is deploy this existing web app that we have to Heroku. And so let's get started on that. Here's the page, heroku.com, articles, getting started with Node.js. So this is going to walk us through the process of deploying our Node app to there. We're going to have to change the way that we behave a little bit because we want to deploy the test app from Free Code Camp to this one. So let's get started. Okay, so here's how you start. If you don't have Heroku, you're going to run brew install Heroku. If you don't have homebrew, you want to go get brew. If your brew command doesn't work, you want to get homebrew. Homebrew is another package manager for Windows, or no, for Mac. So this is how you install homebrew. I've already done this, so I'm not going to do this here, but I think that you should be able to figure out how to do that. And then once you install Homebrew, you can install the Heroku command line tool, which will give us these tools. I'm not going to do the Heroku login because I'm already logged in, and so I hope you can figure that one out. The tutorial will walk you through here. We can go node-version to see what version we're working with. If you're working with a different version, don't worry about it. NPM, if you don't have NPM installed, you also want to make sure that you have NPM installed, Node Package Manager. And so to install NPM, you just come here, and I'm pretty sure that it's pretty straightforward as well. Yeah, no, and how to install NPM. This is actually kind of challenging stuff if you're not super familiar with it, but yeah, you can download Node.js and NPM here, and you can install it that way, and you just run through the docs. I don't think it's too hard, but I know sometimes people get hung up on things like that. And then you also want to make sure you have your Git, but Git is basically already installed on most computers, as far as I know. We've already done this. We've cloned a JS app, so we can just move through this one. Deploy the app. So here's where we get started. We're trying to deploy the app. So what we want to do is into here, we're going to say Heroku create. And if it says Heroku is not a command line tool, that means that you don't have Heroku installed. And so you need to do that. So here, it's been created. So now we have a public facing URL. This will be what we are going to paste into this guy once we're complete. So yeah, that's good. We've created it. So now we need to push. We need to push Heroku master. We've already got git status. Oh, this up.js. We do not need that in there. I was just doing that to show you how Node runs JavaScript files. Git status. We see package.json, server.js. This is great. I think that we can go git status. Oh, we've already got that. This shows us the unchanged files. So we want to say git add. And then if we go git status, we'll see that these are on board. And we've added all these node modules. Yeah, before we do git push Heroku master, we want to do, oh man, this is always complex, but before we do this, we want to do a Git Ignore. So this is how to deploy. This is another article about deploying Node.js apps. I think this one's kind of more for people who have experience with this. And so let's, it says that we want to specify the Node version. We haven't done that yet, so let's do that now. So we want to say engines, Node 8.11.2. If I go node-v, I'm at 13.12.0. I don't want to use this old version from Free Code Camp. I'm going to use the new version. And so if I save that, let's see, I'm moving down. We've got the engines, the author. We've put our author in here. Dependencies, Express. We have Express in here. Let's see what Express version. Okay, so we can't do that. Main is web.js, main server.js, so we've sort of replaced that. That's fine. This is important. We want to declare a start script. Because in our package.json we have a start script, we don't need to do a proc file. So you can build your app and run it locally. So this is one that we've already done. We've got npm install. Because I updated the version, there might be an issue there. No. And then we can do Heroku local web. This is the same as running Node server. Yeah, it's the same as running Node server.js. So if we go localhost 3000, maybe I put it 5000. Yeah, localhost 5000, we punch out that and we see that it's working locally. So we can stop our server now. And we're back into here. Okay, so we can run the app locally. Here we want to create a Git Ignore file. So if I go git status right now, you'll see that there's all of these node modules on here. We don't want these on here. So I'm going to these are all green, so that means there's been staged. So I'm going to go git reset. And now if I go git status, you'll see that we've got node modules as a package.json and all this stuff. We don't want that on there, so we're going to create what's called a Git Ignore file. So if you look over here, there's currently no Git Ignore. There's git config. So what we want to do is say touch, so which means create a new thing, and we're going to call it Git Ignore. And so Git Ignore is going to be instructions on how to have Git ignore some of the things that you're doing. We want to just copy this in here. So it's basically going to ignore, you'll see here, if I go git status here, we have the node modules, and we're going to ignore the node modules. We're going to ignore the npm debug. We're going to ignore any ds store files, and we're going to ignore the environmental files. So in our git ignore, I'm going to save this here. And now if we go git status, you'll see that it added the git ignore and the package.lock.json. So this is good. It means that we're not going to load all of those node module files to our server, because the server will locally do the npm install. So yeah, I'm going to go git, and let's just keep following the instructions. So now we want to deploy our app to Heroku. So we're going to say git add. And so if I go git status now, you'll see that all this stuff, the git ignore file, the package lock, and the server.js, all these modifications have been saved and they're ready to commit. So I'm going to go git commit. I'm sorry, these have all been staged. And so I'm going to say git commit -m prepare app for Heroku deployment. Okay, cool. And then, yeah, we've already done Heroku create. We did that in this get started area. And so now we can say git push Heroku master. And this is how you push to the main thing. Okay, cool. So failed to push some refs. App detected. Yeah. Okay, so that did not work. So let's go through here again. Push Heroku master. Okay. Scale the app, declare, run app locally. Failed to push refs to Heroku. I want to push and get there. RSpec master does not. Okay, cool. This worked for me. Git push Heroku head master. Let's try that. Git push Heroku head master. Okay. That's annoying that we have to do it this way, but if we get this app deployed to Heroku, then yeah, we'll be successful. So yeah, what this is doing now is it's making the changes and it's pushing all our code to a computer that is managed by the Heroku organization. And so it's this frozen ocean. Yeah, and they say release version 3, and then it's been deployed to Heroku. So if we copy this and we paste it here, we see, okay, so this is a live web app that can be viewed anywhere from on the internet. So we can copy this. This is just an automated one, so your URL will be different when you do it. And then so we can take that and put it over here and complete the challenge. Okay, and that's how you do it. We've actually deployed a web app to Heroku right now. Heroku's got some really cool things, like say you really like your frozen ocean. This is my Heroku app list. So you'll probably just have your one on here, which will be this. You see, I can click here and there's a lot of settings. So I could actually start building a web app because now that it's deployed, I can start doing NPM build stuff to it. And I'm going to be using this same app throughout the rest of this. But you could actually change the domain here so you could buy a domain like whatever your website is, and anything.com, and you can forward this there, and that's how you actually build web applications. So this is a really cool thing that we've reached, all the way from HTML, CSS to deploying a web app using Heroku command line tools, and that's really cool in my opinion. So yeah, we've got this one complete. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Yeah, and we'll see you in the next lesson.